Hi everyone, welcome back to My Service Dog and Me. I'm Kate, and today we're going to be talking about how to know if your dog is ready for public access training. So we're going to be building off of last week's video where we talked about the differences and the similarities between public access and socialization, and we're going to be talking about how to actually know if your dog is ready. So before we get started, let's just really quickly mention what is public access training so you know what I mean when I say that. So I consider it to be an advanced form of training where we're teaching your dog the skills and behaviors to be safe, unobtrusive, and responsive in public locations that do not allow pet dogs. So this is where we're teaching our dog to listen to you, to respond to cues, to do his tasks, to be out of the way, quiet, not bothering anybody. Behaviors like tuck and under. This is where we're doing that advanced level of proofing and advanced level of training for all of those kinds of things. Now, knowing whether your dog is ready for that is not as simple as putting a vest on your dog and heading to the store. There's actually a variety of things that your dog really should know how to do before you get to that point. Now, first really is he fully house trained and friendly and calm with other people and other dogs? If your dog is not fully house trained yet, or he's getting overly excited, he's nervous, he's barking, he's pulling towards other people or other dogs, he is not ready to be in locations that are not pet friendly. He needs to learn how to be calm and responsive around other people and other dogs before you bring him into any store that is not pet friendly. Second, is I really believe that your dog should already have passed a Canine Good Citizen or equivalent, or have you be working with a professional service dog in person before you begin public access training. Now, here's why I say that. Public access training really is an advanced type of training. So if your dog hasn't passed a Canine Good Citizen, which tests for basic skills like sit and recall, it tests for general like friendliness and walking around other people and other dogs, he can't pass that. He's really not ready for public access. Now, if you are working with a professional service dog trainer one-on-one, they may be having you doing things a little bit differently, but that's because they're watching you and working with you in your dog training. So if you're not working with a professional service dog trainer, I really truly believe that your dog should be able to pass a Canine Good Citizen test before you take him into any location that is not pet friendly. Now, third, can your dog walk in heel position past other dogs and people in pet friendly locations? If he can't do that yet, then he's really not ready for public access. Now, he doesn't have to be perfect. Like if you go out for a public access outing, like you go to Walmart for the first time and he tries to sniff a person or something, this is not the end of the world. But if in general your dog can't walk past other people or other dogs without becoming overly excited, without stepping out of heel position, without sniffing, we really need to practice that before you go into non-pet friendly locations. And can your dog focus around people and dogs, ignoring them and responding to you? Because again, those are prerequisite skills before you bring your dog into a non-pet friendly location. These are not things we want to be training for the first time or proofing for the first time in locations that are only open to service dogs. And before you, I think I have this on the slide in a second here, but before you even consider taking your dog out into public locations that do not allow pet dogs, you need to check the laws in your country, state, local area to see how they impact both service dogs and service dogs in training, because in most areas of the world, those two things are regulated differently. So depending on where you live in the world, just make sure you're familiar with your federal, state, and local laws before you do this. Now, those are just sort of the basic requirements for me before I'm going to have a service dog step out into a public location that is not open to pets. But we have a whole public access readiness ebook that you can get for free in our ebook library. The link is in the description of this video, where we talk about the 4 stages of public access, which actually start with outdoor pet-friendly locations, then indoor pet-friendly locations. Then we move to non-pet-friendly stores, so Walmart, the mall, the movie theater. And then we finally practice at places that have food or you can't leave at a moment's notice. And we have full assessments in this ebook that you can use yourself to determine, is your dog ready to go into a pet friendly, is your dog even ready for a pet friendly store? Because there are skills he really should have before you move into a pet friendly store in the first place. Then, once you've been training there for a while, we have this second assessment to help you determine if your dog really is ready for public access or not. So, again, house trained. Is he friendly with other people? Is he friendly with dogs? Has he passed a CGC? And then we have a whole bunch of other skills to help you determine, is your dog's healing and focus really ready to be moving into non-pet friendly locations? So you can get that at the link below if you want more information on those pieces. But this isn't just about your service dog, okay? This is also about you. So we want to talk about if you're ready. But again, public access training is for dogs who already have completed basic training, in my opinion, okay? So once you know your dog is ready, your dog has the skills, you've checked off the things on the boxes, are you ready to take your dog out into public? Because these are actually two separate things. You feeling comfortable taking your dog into public and your dog being ready to go. So, have you checked your federal and local laws regarding dogs in training? Okay, this is important for you to know. Again, laws vary greatly around the world. Every country regulates dogs very, very differently. And even in the United States, please check your state law on service dogs in training because they vary from state to state in regards to dogs in training. Have you chosen a location that your dog will be successful at, that you can leave at any time, and that you are familiar with? So, very often we see new handlers just take their dogs into public without giving it a lot of thought. But really, especially for your first few trips while you're gaining confidence and your dog is practicing skills, I think it's really important for you to pick somewhere you're familiar with. So you're going to know where the doors are, when you should leave, how you should leave, where everything is, that type of thing. You do want this to be a location that you can leave at any moment. So if you take your dog in there and things aren't going very well, you can just leave without it being too big of a hassle. And you want to choose a location you think your dog will be successful at, okay? So you want to pick a place with the right amount of distractions, with the right sort of environment that you believe, given your dog's past training history, he's going to be successful. We always want to set our dogs up to succeed. But if you find out that he isn't successful, you want to be able to leave at a moment's notice. Now, do you know how you will handle access issues or people interacting with your dog? This is really important for you to have a plan ahead of time, especially if these are things that kind of create some anxiety in you thinking about. So if you are trying to walk into a store and that store tries to stop you, how are you going to handle that? I think that having a general plan can be really, really helpful before you actually go take your dog out into public. And the same thing for people who try to interact with your dog. Because while the public should not be talking to your dog or trying to pet them, it's absolutely going to happen to you at some point, whether it be adults who should know better but just are not, or children or other people who just honestly don't know better than to interact with your dog. So how are you going to handle that? Having it sort of rehearsed and ready to go in your head, what you're going to say or how you're going to move, can be really, really helpful so that you don't have to figure that out on the fly. So it can be helpful for your anxiety if you're somebody who struggles with anxiety. It can be helpful also just so that if one of these things does pop up, you don't have to spend time thinking about it. You can just kind of jump into action, right? So again, how will you handle access issues and how will you handle people trying to interact with your dog? Do you have the things that you need? So supplies to clean up an accident. Again, your dog should be fully house trained, but just in case, it's really, I think, important that you carry the supplies to clean up an accident, extra treats, and we do have a whole video on this, so I will link this below. I have a whole video taking you through the things I bring out into public when I'm working with a dog in training. And do you have a plan if your dog becomes distracted, stops taking food, begins to bark, or some other nuisance behavior that really is not appropriate for public access? Having a plan for this is really helpful for you, for your anxiety, for your dog's training, and just to avoid access issues, right? So you, again, hopefully by the time you go to Walmart for the first time, you have already gained the skills, you and your dog, necessary to be successful in that location. But life happens, stuff happens. So having a plan for what you will do if it doesn't go to plan, right? So this is like your backup plan. This is your exit strategy. This is your, uh-oh, things aren't going according to plan. How are you going to handle it and what are you going to do? And finally, are you fluent with all the things from the dog list? So in that PDF, we have a whole list of skills that your dog should have. You and your dog should be fluent with that, okay? Both of you, before you try to do public access training. So again, public access training is for dogs and handlers who have already completed basic training. Public access is not the time to be teaching basic skills for the first time. This is not where we're teaching your dog to pay attention to you. This is not where we're teaching heeling. This is not where we're teaching don't sniff stuff. This is where we're proofing that stuff, bringing it to the next level, and beginning to expose our dogs to more and more environments that they will be working in as fully trained service dogs. So if you have any questions about any of this stuff, the best place to ask them is going to be in our free Facebook group, Train Your Service Dog with Confidence. That link is below. And if you want our free ebook on like public access readiness, you can also get that in our ebook library, and you can get access to that for free at the link below as well. And I will see you in the next video. Have a great rest of your day.